The Punisher, Episode 7, Crosshairs. So in this episode, Frank has to deal with the nearly impossible task of actually going on a mission without killing everybody, or anyone for that matter. So it's pretty tough on him in this episode, but it was definitely fun. I really liked the action sequence. I thought it was cool how the tension was kind of building up because it wasn't as simple as the other times he was going through where it's like, oh, Frank has to go through and he's just gonna wipe out all these people. He might, it might take a minute. He goes around the corner, or something like that. It was like, no, he has to be very careful because this was that moment where he was like, what am I supposed to do here? Because not only is he not killing his actual target, he was just getting the info off of his phone, but he knew that there would be people in his way. It was like, well, what do I do? Like, I'm not gonna kill, army men that are just doing their job. They aren't actual criminals. They're just in my way. So, what am I supposed to do in that sort of situation? And of course, he has to simply go through and not kill anybody, and it was actually really entertaining. Like he has, he sets off the smoke bombs and stuff. He deals with everybody. Of course, he walks in on the guys he's dealing with, the dominatrix, which I thought was really funny. But sets off the smoke grenades, and it's just like a little cat and mouse game with like 5 different guys or something like that. And so he starts by taking them down because of all the laser sights, so he knows where everybody is. And then about, I want to say it was like halfway through that, or closer to the end, someone figured it out, so they cut their light off, and then that person kind of disappeared for a minute, and Frank was still taking other people down, and then he took a person's gun, and it was like, oh, there's still that person that cut off the laser on the laser sight, so he just lays the gun down. I knew something was gonna happen because I'm like, he moves and he's like far away from the camera, and then he's just like standing really still. I'm like, something's about to happen here because like I don't think he's like over there anymore. Like something weird was happening. And then of course we have the guy who cut the laser off, and he turns over and he assumes that the gun is right there, and he just shoots. And that was probably like the one moment, well, I guess the first moment where it was actually really tough for Frank, because he could have just killed the guy if he wanted to. He had it and everything, but he needed like that clear shot that would not only take the guy down, but also not be a lethal shot, because he was walking up on him, and like right as the guy turned, he was able to shoot him in the shoulder just as Frank got himself hit in the shoulder. And I totally forgot he was going on a no-kill mission, because I was like, I don't know why he didn't shoot him. Like I completely forgot that was the whole point of that mission, was he's not killing anyone because these are good people, or so he thought. Because of course, if he knew that was Russo, that was the last person, he would have taken him down if he knew all the facts. But definitely a great scene. I love how all of that stuff played out naturally. Everything kind of gets a little crazy. I don't know if you can hear the dogs over there. They both decided to walk. Like every time I'm about to do a review, that's when the dogs start walking around and eating all their food and stuff. It's like they'll just be laying there for hours next to me. I'm about to do a review, and now they're both just up walking around. But yeah, they go through the whole process of this guy thinking he's about to be killed and thinking that they saved his life. They have the big conversation. He was definitely pissed off because like, I know you guys had this information ahead of time, because Russo wouldn't have been there waiting, to take Frank down. And also, the woman, the dominatrix wouldn't have been like, he's here, before she took off. And so he knew that they were setting him up for, kind of putting him out there as bait. And it was like, okay, everything's all said and done. You're alive. You didn't say anything. It's all good. We're going to do the whole retirement plan, get you, a passport and all that new information. You'll be good to go. Naturally, none of that works, and basically they just have it where Russo takes him to this crappy apartment. They killed the dominatrix, and then killed him as well. And I was like, was the point to be that he killed, like a murder-suicide, I guess? But it was just like, it made no sense to me. I was like, why do all that when they could have just killed the dude, and that would have been the end of it? But, maybe we'll get an official answer. I don't think it'll matter because the dude's dead. It doesn't matter what the cover-up is meant to be. It's not that relevant. But I just thought it was kind of weird that they felt the need to kill off the dominatrix, when it's just like, for what? Like, all you had to really do was, just take him to the location. Chewy, he's probably going to start barking. It was like, just take him to the location and kill him, or just, I don't know, kill him along the way, somewhere random. It just seemed weird to me. It was like, that's what they felt they needed to do to set it all up. And then, he got stabbed a bunch of times. It was like, what, he slit her throat and then she stabbed him, or she stabbed him and then he slit her throat after he was stabbed a bunch, and then she was perfectly laid down. So, like, in reality, it was just like, none of this makes sense anyway. It was like, I guess it's just supposed to look like a murder. I don't know. But, they end up taking him down. I guess she was just a loose end. They felt like they couldn't trust her. But, ultimately, they kind of squash those loose ends, kill him, kill her. Frank, of course, went through the mission. He didn't end up killing anybody. He did end up having to shoot someone else, though, because he has to shoot the younger guy, Chewie. I think something might actually be outside because normally he wouldn't be doing that. It sounds like his growl is so low. It just sounds like his stomach is growling. What is it, Chewy? Nothing you're gonna do about it. But Frank going through the mission and taking out the little kid. Well, I mean, it wasn't a little kid, but taking out the younger guy. That was an interesting scene. Like, he kind of threatens him. He's like, "Look, I'm gonna go that way, and you do what you got to do." And at first, the guy lets him pass, and then he's like, he kind of musters up his courage. He's like, "I said to freeze," and Frank was just like, "Crap, what am I gonna do?" And it's like, "All right, like easy." And he does a quick turn on him too, and it's just like easy. And he turns so fast, and he just perfect. Like, he didn't even aim. Like, I mean, he had like perfect hip accuracy. It was like some video game. So it was just like, boom, got him, and he got him like straight in the shoulder, knocked him down, and it was like, all right, I'm out of here. So that was actually really cool. I like that scene, but like go through the whole process. Him getting the information, which they do get, and ultimately he ends up going to the guy's house, the agent's house. And I love the way that it ended because I was like, I know he can't kill this dude right now. Like, it's just too early for him to officially get killed off, and Russo is the only one left. Like, I knew it was too early, and he says the line, the one batch, two batch, pulls the trigger, and it hits the window, and it's just bulletproof. And I was like, that makes perfect sense. Of course it is. And so the floodlights just come on, and it's just like, crap. Okay, Chewy, what are you doing? He's just staring, like he's not gonna do anything. You're not gonna go to bed, Chewy. You're not gonna do anything. But the part where the bullet hits, I thought was awesome. I was like, that makes perfect sense because I knew he couldn't just die off, but he didn't know what was going on. He didn't know Frank was right there or anything like that. And of course, Frank didn't account for bulletproof windows, and it was just like boom, and the bullet stopped. It's like, oh, floodlights, alarms, and Frank has to take off. So that was a cool way to end it. I'm looking forward to how that's gonna play out next time, because of course that was like their information was that one moment, and they still technically have the address, but of course once Frank Castle comes after you, you're not just going to stay in the house. Like, you're going to leave and go somewhere he doesn't know about. So the agent's probably going to take off from there. We'll see what happens with Russo. And of course we had Dinah and what she's doing with the other agent. I totally forgot his name. And they're going through the office, and she realizes that the office is bugged, and they end up finding this itty bitty tiny little bug on the underside of one of the shelves. So I was like, all right, they officially found the bug. They went through, they scoured through the office left and right, and they found out where the bug was. So she knows that someone had been spying on her. I don't know if she's going to connect that to Russo, because he was kind of making a joke about it, like, oh, relax, nobody's listening. So that's what kind of got in her head to make her even think about that, like, oh, the only reason that Gunner suddenly got killed was because it was right after we kind of named him as being a suspect, or at least having some useful information. So I don't know if she's going to connect those dots where it's like, he said that in passing, but it meant something to me, or if she's going to assume that he said that as a joke because he knew that somebody was listening. So I don't know if that's how that's going to play out, but she now knows that she's been getting spied on, but she still doesn't know by who, and she still really isn't that much closer to any of the truth that she's looking for. So I'm very curious how that's ultimately going to end up playing out, because even with everything that happened, her finding the bug and knowing that she'd been spied on and stuff like that, and she has been being spied on, it doesn't really change anything. Like, I mean, maybe they can plant some information and say like, oh, excuse me, the typical thing where it's like, all right, well, we found the bug, now let's say this fake thing so that we can find out who this is. That could totally be what happens in the next episode, but for now, she found out that she was being, her office was bugged, and then that's really nothing. Like, that still doesn't help her in any way, shape, or form at this point, because she still doesn't know where Frank is. She still doesn't know that Russo knows that Frank is alive. She doesn't know that Russo is involved in everything that she's looking into. So she's still pretty much just, like, in the complete dark about everything, all the absolute madness that's going on with, some of the closest people around her right now. But definitely a fun episode. Of course, we have, the crazy soldier storyline and him, wrapping the guy's body up in the shower curtain, and then he continues to be crazy. His dad tried to help him, and it's just really sad. Like, his storyline is actually super sad, but I do like watching it, and, it's like his dad's story is even sad, where he's trying to help his son, and it's just not working. Like, he has no idea that his son has killed a guy because he's gotten to that point now. But I really love his storyline. Like, it's, like I said, it's super sad to watch, and I think I mentioned that before. Like, I knew it was going to be sad watching this dude's story, but it is still very entertaining to watch. And then he goes through and he's buying bullets and gunpowder, and he's making bombs. So I don't know exactly where that's going to lead to. Like with the speech his dad gave him, because they were watching Muhammad Ali. And it's like, he knows what fight he's in. He knows how to take the hit to basically get the win. And, that's no longer where you are. You aren't in the war anymore. You need to just basically like take the hit that you already have and then find a way to fight back. And his son is unfortunately taking it in the worst way possible because he's just not able to handle it. So now he's making weapons and he's going to kill even more innocent people, I have to assume. Because once again, his storyline is just way off to the side. Nobody knows what this dude is doing. Nobody knows that he's killed a guy. The closest person to this character is Frank's buddy. And even he doesn't know how far, Lewis is gone. That's his name. I had to look it up to finally remember his name. But no one really knows how far Lewis has gone, and it's just going to get worse in the next episode. And I consider he's making bombs. I feel like that might sort of wrap him into like the main storyline, because Frank is going to be like, holy crap, like this whole thing just went off. Somehow I'm sure Lewis will escape, and then Frank will have to be the one to kind of find him and put him down. So I feel like that might be how that plays out. But either way, his story just keeps building up on the side. We got like all the madness of the main story, and then he's just going through like some really dark emotional stuff, and it's leading to some really bad moments. So I'm certainly looking forward to where his story is headed, and where the story is headed in general for the main storyline, especially with Frank being out there. It's like, yeah, we finally got it. I'm gonna go back to our family. We'll get our answers. We'll take this dude down, and bulletproof window. And we got like I think 5 or 6 more episodes left to go. But definitely a fun episode. Of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. And I really want to know where you guys think Lewis's storyline is headed now that he's gotten to the point where, he's making bombs, by the end of this episode. I would love to know how you guys think that's going to play out for him and, the rest of the characters. Because like I said, at this point, with him making bombs, I think it'll finally start to kind of wrap him into the main storyline by Frank starting to deal with him like, oh, this is something I can do right now. And also, of course, one of our main characters is like the investigator character. So I'm sure she'll be involved in that because it'll basically come off as like a terrorist attack within the city. So I'm sure that that'll, kind of involve both parts of, the like good characters, I guess, in the series. But we'd love to know your theories on how Lewis's storyline is going to continue. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.